Now, I make this video out of a love for music, not out of a hatred for the people who listen to it. Now that that's out of the way, music elitism is so annoying. Listen, music is a medium, and like any medium, it can be represented as a piece of art, a piece of creative spirit that comes out of an individual and truly creates something special. So why do you think you're more special for listening to it? There's a lot of genres out there, and they all equally stink when it comes to having an opinion on their music. Arguably the most iconic genre in the 20th century. It is the 21st century now. But rock has had the best PR campaign of any genre ever. When I grew up, I was told this is the greatest form of music that was ever created. When I listen to rock, I'm listening to real music. I'm listening to the stuff that was meant to be heard. And it's like, it's not wrong. The reason rock became so popular is because of the resonance it had with the youth of that time. And it still has a resonance with the youth. But rock was able to effectively portray a lot of things that make genres prominent. You know, drama, culture, personality.
Stop it, Ozzy.
But as I grow up, I also have to find my own taste that lies beyond within a Rolling Stone Top 500 list. As you know, no one can ever be happy on the internet ever, and no one can ever be happy with the type of music they listen to ever. Music changes, but people's tastes sometimes don't. So with that comes the plight of the rock listener. So if I had to describe rock listeners in one word, it would be old. Rock listeners are older. And I don't specifically mean age, but I just mean the mentality of a rock musician. Don't get me wrong, you see my pigment? I love rock. And I'll be honest, rock music was the first genre I listened to where music was more than a novelty to me. When I listened to Thin Lizzy, there was a deeper meaning incited within me than when I was listening to Minecraft parodies. But the issue with rockheads is that they haven't accepted the fact that their music peaked 50 years ago. When your genre has commercially and critically peaked 50 years ago, you know, there's other stuff now. There's other stuff out there. Listen, I get it, you're still in Congress, but if you think you're part of the cultural zeitgeist, you're just not. Like, you have to accept that rock is no longer the #1 genre when you don't care about new rock that comes out. And that goes for any genre. If you do not care about the new music that comes out in the genre you claim to love so much, it is dead. You gotta listen to new artists. You can't just keep listening to the Rolling Stones. Oh, the Rolling Stones released a new album and it sounds like a bunch of 80-year-olds being puppeted by 30-year-old engineers. Rock is like concrete at this point. It's just so solidified that you can't do anything with it. Rock music is so solidified in a concrete form now that you just can't become prominent as a rock musician anymore. You gotta do something new. You gotta innovate. You can't, rock's not gonna, no. And rock music is the biggest victim of overpraising albums, I swear. When I say overrated, I mean someone will tell you, oh, this album is a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't give it a 10. I would give it a 9.1 or 2. Think about it, a 9.1.2, if that's on your GPA, that is a phenomenal GPA. An A is an A, that's good on your GPA. That's gonna get you into an Ivy League. But I've been told for 50 years that this thing is perfect, and I haven't had a single say in that opinion. So if I do give my say, and I say, I don't like how one of the best love songs ever immediately follows with a corny song about a hammer-wielding killer. It's off-putting. It's off-putting. I wouldn't call it perfect. That's my criticism. I wouldn't call it literally perfect. And I want my say in that. I want my opinion without being scrutinized for it. Which I'm going to because, oh my god, it's Abbey Road. Yeah, I'm a Revolver guy. Sue me. But I'm tired of rock heads acting like they've been oppressed for the last 30 years of music. And somehow they've been stifled back and they're being replaced with auto-tune and technology and innovation. At some point you just have to accept that you're not willing to move on. And it's your fault. Okay, for the metal section, I just have a note that just says Reddit. And I kind of don't want to say anything else. So if you see my 2-hour video essay Whiplash versus Jazz, because yes, I am that kind of white boy, there's a 30-second segment where I talk about metal drummers. Or if I ask a metalhead what the best drummer in the world is, they'll tell you it's the guy from Dream Theater. Oh, what's that? Your song has 100 different time signature changes? And I at least got a comment that got mad at me for bringing up specifically Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater as being a metal drummer, because he told me Mike Portnoy is a prog drummer. If you want to hear the best metal drummers, just no one cares. But you're right, Mike Portnoy Kanye isn't a metal drummer. He's a prog metal drummer. You got me there. I'm sorry. The Wikipedia corrected me. So prog is short for progressive. This is one of the least progressive genres out there. What the fuck is so progressive about prog rock or prog metal or like any of these genres that just make you sound as smart as possible for listening to it? Oh, you put jazz in your rock? You made your rock music look like a classical suite? Your idea of progression is just taking old genres but making it rock? I feel like if you're going to define any genre as progressive, it would be like techno, because that's what Kraftwerk was, or at least in a social lens, disco was more progressive. What's progressive about progressive rock? I don't know. And Pink Floyd was the exception to social commentary in prog rock and not the standard, you know it. Honestly, I don't actually know a genuine elitist that listens to classical music, but the idea of it is so goofy to me. Oh, it's that you listen to classical music while you work your 9-to-5 job? Are you gonna go home and watch a fucking documentary about the Roman Empire afterwards? Classical music is the most institutional form of music. It is like the type of music that you go to school to learn about. Like if you go to college and you go to like a music appreciation class, like a music 101 class, it might as well just be called appreciating classical musicians, even the ones you don't care about. Bach, obviously, he's part of music history. Mozart is part of music history. Beethoven doesn't need an introduction. Why am I learning about Philip Glass over Michael Jackson? And you know what the worst thing is? There's one song, and I guarantee you Adam fucking Neely performed it, called 433. The whole point of it is that you don't play anything. Oh, like genuinely, that's the most artistic thing you could have thought up in like the last 70 years as a classical musician is, what if we don't play the music? I completely forgot. I learned about that in my music class. Wow. They have a song where you don't play anything and it's genius. Okay, this is the part where I have to like be politically correct about 433. Yeah, there is an intent and stuff that comes into this song. Like imagine you're in a theater with 1,000 other people and you hear this song and you literally get to experience silence in a theater in a way you don't normally get to experience. And there is something special about that. There is something special about that moment, but it's like you literally have to be lectured about why this song is good. And then I can just show like a Michael Jackson song and you get it instantly. You know what I mean? Like all the time I spent learning about 433, I could have learned about Quincy Jones, and you can't convince me Quincy Jones isn't more important than John Cage. The problem isn't that I don't get it. The issue is that I do get it and it fucking stinks. Listen man, one of my favorite songs like ever is Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin. Shout out to the animation in Fantasia 2000. I remember nothing else from that fucking movie except those weird ass firecrackers. They're called nutcrackers. My apologies. I'll be honest, Fantasia 2000 would have sucked fucking ass if it weren't for Rhapsody in Blue, but that's not the point. The point is that classical music can be appreciated like any other form of music, but you're forcing people to appreciate it more than any other genre, and it makes people not want to listen to it. And just to make more sense, this isn't me saying that just because you listen to a certain genre doesn't mean you are an elitist. Some people listen to classical music because they genuinely love classical music and they love talking about it. That should not be taken away. Genuinely, Beethoven is great for a reason. Let's not get that misconstrued. But if I'm in a classroom and I'm being explained that Beethoven is important over his artistry as a musician, I'm just less likely to care about him. And that goes for any genre. If you just tell me that this is important, the less likely I'm going to care. If I can see your passion be represented through your love of the artist, then I'm more likely to listen to it. But rap star has the force to leave you lost like the Tribish mass. Murderous material made by a madman. It's the prime tech aspect of Batman. From the bad lands of the killer. Rap fanatic with the skill that makes. So I've been thinking about this for a minute. Unlike other genres I'm talking about, rap music is still within the cultural mainstream. So the elitism is still mostly within the genre rather than projecting at other genres. And you've heard people say this. I listen to every kind of music except rap and country. So rap is still kind of the butt of like being a bad genre. But over the years, rap has gained its influence, has made itself a prominent genre, not just commercially, but artistically. But when it comes to rap, there is still some inner turmoil. Some rap is better than other rap. Conscious rap, jazz rap, those are considered the more higher taste, the more you know, that type of music. You know, compared to trap music that's just about having a good time. We don't have good times here. We only have thoughts and discussions. But more than that, there is the GOAT debate. You know what I'm talking about. Who is the greatest rapper of all time? And there's two divisions. People who think the greatest rapper of all time is alive and those who think the greatest rapper is dead. Now, the rapper that's had like the most cultural impact, at least in my lifetime, is Kendrick Lamar. But do I think he's the greatest rapper of all time? I'm actually gonna say no. This is just kind of an out of nowhere take, but I consider influence to be very important to a rapper, and I still see Kendrick as someone who's more influenced than influential, if that makes sense. He's kind of like taking the wheel and dipping it in gold, but he got the wheel from Tupac. Am I saying Tupac's the greatest of all time? I'm not gonna say who I think it is, because I actually don't have an answer. But then there's people who think Drake is the greatest rapper of all time, and they only choose that because they got to experience Drake in his lifetime, and they just don't care to listen to anyone else. But I do want to say this about rap, that I do think we are in the best period of rap right now. That's a hot take. I think the age of rap we are in right now is the best age of rap to be in. And you know what? There's older people that are gonna say the 80s are a better time for hip hop, and you know what? I'm just gonna disagree, because yeah, for every Public Enemy, there were like 10 songs where it was just like a 8-minute 808 loop of just like some drum machine. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. And it was like that for 8 minutes. Like for every Rakim, there was like 20 songs like that. If anything, 80s rap was still stuck between if it wanted to be a dance genre or the genre it is now. Like just know D-Light was in there somewhere. You don't know what punk means. Pop elitism is probably the worst type of music elitism, because the people that are elitist about it are the dumbest. Because they're not idolizing the music, they're idolizing a single person. And yes, I'm talking about her. You know who I'm talking about her. The only thing worse than trapping yourself with past music is trapping yourself with a single person to listen to. I don't know how they do it. I don't. And in a general sense, thinking you're better because you listen to one artist and not the other is something stupid, and that even goes for like artists that are critically acclaimed. I'm not going to tell you to listen to Kanye because he's Kanye West. No, I'm going to tell you to listen to Kanye because his first song had his jaw wired shut because he was in a car crash 6 weeks ago. And that to me says, oh, that's why he's interesting. Not like his actual music, but the reason why the music he makes is the way it is. And speaking of elitism, I'm going to give you some artists you guys can gatekeep too. Like, there is new music out there, but as you know, it is pretty hard to find it, so people just kind of resort to saying, oh, music is bad now. Number one, Prison Affair. I don't think they've made a single song longer than like a minute 30 seconds. They are punk, they are loud, they are fun. Also, their music videos are absolutely insane. Number two, McKinley Dixon. His most recent album, Beloved Paradise Jazz, is absolutely insane. Insanely tight rapper, and his instrumentals are almost bar none to like anyone else right now. He's probably gotten the most like actual push out of any other artist I'm gonna mention. Like, he's had some genuine industry push with his stuff, but I still think he needs more attention. I really do think he just deserves so much more attention. Number three, Micah Daily White. He's mostly known for his shorts on Instagram and TikTok, but his batting average with his music is absolutely great. It's R&B, it's poppy, it's got a little 80s tinge to it, and overall, I'm loving it. He's not as prominent on YouTube, so I can push his stuff here just a little bit more, but if you see him on Instagram or TikTok, try out his music too while you're at it. Okay, that is NoMad recommends 3 musical artists that I've been hearing, and I want more attention for them in case they make more music in the future. Gun to your head, tell me an album you like that isn't a top 500 pick on Rate Your Music or albumoftheyear.com, okay? Ready? Oh, bang! Yeah, exactly. I actually do like to play a little game where whenever I go on my Discover Weekly, I look at an album and I see the album cover and I listen to the music and I'm like, now is this a top 500 album on Rate Your Music or not? Most of the time, I'm actually kind of spot on. I saw this album and I said, that's on Rate Your Music, isn't it? And I looked at, bam. I saw this album. I went on Rate Your Music and bam. Now my batting average isn't perfect. I saw this one and it looked like it felt like it, but when I went and checked, no, not even close. But I did see one review. I have a review from November 1st, 2008 by a username I Am Tanuki. He gave this album 1 star. Fuck you, Space Hog. Your singer dated my wife when she was in college. That googly glassed bad haircut douche kissed and messed around with my girl. It was before this album broke and before we were together, but ever since I found out about it, I haven't been able to forget it. I'm much more disgusted than I am threatened, mind you. This band fucking sucks ass. Derivative in every sense of the word. Not good enough reasoning or analysis? Fine. I don't give a shit. This may be all drunk talk, but when I found out about this, I could have barfed. This band is so fucking bad. Go ahead, like them. Now though that I'm writing this review and plenty liquored up, yeah, dude, you gotta lay off the booze, man. It feels like the easiest to measure in terms of quality, EDM, so the more it makes you dance, the better it is. Yeah, actually, you know what? I pissed off the right people saying that. We can go on to the next one.
My ear jazz is just noise Just an insolent noise.
I want to preface this by saying I love jazz. Jazz is a great genre and I love listening to it. You know, I have the most personal beef with jazz as a genre, not really the genre itself, but you know, the musicians, the culture, everything about jazz that isn't the music itself. And this will be denied because it's a negative trait about the genre, but they do think they are better for being jazz musicians. I'm not saying this as like oh, I'm saying it, but it's like, it's a truth that it won't be acknowledged by people engaging in that culture, and they'll get upset at me. A lot of people will get upset at me because I'm targeting their music, but jazz musicians specifically are just they're the worst. Like, they don't have the boomer prowess of rock music or the hyper obsession of pop, but they just have like the most whiny approach to like what they do. I think jazz in the state it's in is the most cowardly genre you could possibly do. So if you're subscribed to me, you've probably seen the video Whiplash versus Jazz. I figured, you know what, I might as well make this like the epilogue of that video, because there's more to say. Obviously after the matter, mainly just stuff that I want to say because of the reception to that video. Okay, quick summary of what my video is about. Whiplash is a movie loved by everyone except jazz musicians. Well, about an hour and 40 minutes into the video, I explained that the public's perception of jazz sometimes gets warped by this movie. The only thing I really would have changed about my video is take that point, put it way more in the thesis and throughout the video, because it has a lot more application than I kind of thought about when I made the video. But this movie warped the public's perception of jazz so much that jazz musicians just cannot stand this movie.
I mean, it's really just a bad psychological thriller.
And by the way, I'm not saying every jazz musician hates Whiplash, but it's a certain crowd. For the most part, people enjoyed the video, but the people that did it, ooh, let me tell you all about it. Guy is condescending to people he finds condescending. Shave your upper lip until you can grow a real one, boy. It's a shitty movie. The ending was a fucking joke. I was literally laughing at that garbage. Okay. Leave it to the video essays to make his 2-hour yap sesh longer than the runtime of Whiplash. Too long, didn't watch. Whiplash still sucks donkey toes. Oh my god, laughing my ass off. You're the same guy from that other terrible Whiplash video, laughing my ass off. Just need to milk this cow dry, huh? Here, have some pity, comment, engagement, laughing out loud. You're perfect for YouTube. And you know what? I'll just milk it more because I hate you! Okay, firstly, Schaefer Conservatory, the school in the movie. I compared it to Berkeley, but people told me it's more like Manhattan School of Music. But the mistake I made was calling Berkeley Music Harvard. The amount of comments I got screaming at me that Berkeley is not Music Harvard, okay? That's more like, what I don't even know what fucking... Okay, I just came up with that comparison in 5 seconds. It's the Duke University of music. The Wilson Community College of music. I don't care. I wanted to give an idea. Anyways, the real meat and potatoes was me talking about Adam Neely's video about Whiplash, because that's like the big one. It seems to me you completely misinterpreted the point of Adam Neely's video, perhaps intentionally. Your criticisms of his video don't really make sense because he's not really making a film review. Why are you engaging with things that aren't reviews as if they're reviews? And Adam responded. I can't really read it to you directly. It's 1,000 words long, but I can at least talk about the points I want to talk about. Now, I responded to Adam's comment, but honestly, I'm just not a keyboard warrior kind of guy, so I deleted the comment. But honestly, everything I said in that comment, I'm still gonna say right now. The difference is that I'll be able to vocalize it. Okay, so Adam's comment. Adam starts off his comment saying that I'm clearly passionate about film. Firstly, don't talk to me like that. Secondly, he says that the video was mostly in good faith. But you know what? You can just ignore this. I think because you care about film, you have assumed that jazz musicians talking about the film care about the storytelling aspects of the movie. Yeah, mainly because it's telling a story. You know, I think that little passage sums up the comment better than anything else. I don't have to read anything else. Like, I don't have to read about how he said I was dismissive about Ethan Iverson. What was I dismissive about? I don't know. Doesn't elaborate. I read the fucking article about Whiplash he made 5 times. Oh, and he also asks, can good art, Whiplash, have negative consequences? You know why he states this as a question specifically? It's because earlier he talks about Whiplash, the film, has actively dissuaded young musicians because they and their families assume the worst. Now, usually this question is asked about movies like Birth of a Nation or The Jazz Singer. Now, the issue with those movies is that they're some of the most influential movies ever made, but they exude extremely racial themes, mainly because they were made in early 1900s America. But good news, Whiplash does not have blackface, which is a far, far stray from, oh, should little Jimmy go to music school? Well, guess what, little Jimmy? You'll be pleased to hear that there's no movie about roofing some fucking tiles! It's a movie! Look, you see what that is? That's an actor actor. Can you say that? Actor? You know what an actor's job is? It's to act. You know why? Because he's participating in a work of fiction!
I love it's like, oh, the things that are relevant to the movie are only relevant to the movie. It's like, yeah, it's like this is just fucking who changes the tires on the Batmobile, but dumber. It's just one of those things where it's like you don't even need that much of like a mental leap. It's the most idiosyncratic shit.
Yeah, because it's dramatization.
Whiplash is not responsible for how the public sees jazz because it's not a documentary telling you, oh, jazz is exactly like this. No, it's a drama. It's categorized as a drama. It went to the Academy Awards instead of the Grammys. The problem isn't that Whiplash can't separate fact from fiction. The problem is that you can't separate yourself from Whiplash. And you know what you did? You made it everyone else's problem by making a video 6 years ago. In fact, I could just summarize your entire comment in the last sentence you say. I still don't really like Whiplash. Like, I'm sorry if you feel this movie appropriates jazz, but the people responsible for the public's perception of jazz are people actually involved in jazz. And the public perception you gave to jazz is this video. Whiplash doesn't give your genre the perception it has, you do. Like, I'm sorry if you have an issue with me caring more about the storytelling of this movie. Like, if you have an issue with that, then like, you just have an issue with stories then. Anyways, I love jazz and I also hate jazz. Like, for the last 45 years, this has been a genre that has constantly been on the defense about everything it does. And I can say this about classical music too, because these are both like institutional genres now, but that's also the issue with finding out about music in a school setting, is that if you don't listen to this, you will fail. That's negative reinforcement. You don't get the positive reinforcement of finding new music and getting happy reciprocation of listening to new music you found. No, if you don't listen to this, you will fail. The prowess of these genres is just that you know stuff. Like, the reason I don't listen to classical music is because if I was listening to classical music, I would only be listening to it just to say, oh, I listened to that one Beethoven song. But I wouldn't get anything from it. I don't have like any intrigue to like listen to that song. There's no reason for me to like want to listen to it other than that it's Beethoven. And music is ultimately cultural and social. I just don't know people that listen to Beethoven. I can't talk to anyone about Beethoven. That doesn't mean I can't listen to it, but I'm not surrounded by people who are passionate about Beethoven. I'm surrounded by people who are passionate about music, but not specifically classical. So whenever classical is brought up, it's usually in an academic setting. It doesn't have to be this way, but that's how it is right now. And really, I can bunch rock music, classical music, and jazz into like this big hodgepodge, where the issue is that their music was so important at one point that all they can do is tell you how important this music is now. And instead of finding your own significance within these genres, you just have to listen to like older stuff and be reminded of how important it is. You're not listening to this because you sought it out, you're listening to it because it's important. And there's just some albums I listen to where I understand it, I get it, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And it's not to say you can't have a legacy and be impactful on the youth. I mean, one of my favorite albums is still Stevie Wonder. First, you listen to the music, you say, I like this music, I want to hear more like it, but I also want something different enough that it challenges and broadens my taste. You hop on over, and the more you keep hopping on over, the more music like you've listened to, your palette expands. 1% of my battery, I gotta go.